environment, I take that responsibility seriously, and so does this budget. This is my first national budget as minister, and I am proud to build on the foundation led by my predecessor while accelerating progress on our most urgent priorities. At its core, this budget is about laying the groundwork for the future with smarter investments, better service delivery, and real results for the public. Our ministry oversees many of Bermuda's most critical services, from roads and bridges, water supply, waste management, parks, and environmental protection. These systems are the backbone of our daily lives, and maintaining and improving them is our duty. And this year's budget gives us the tools to do just that. The Ministry of Public Works and Environment has been allocated $84.1 million, a 6% increase over last year, to carry out projects that will directly benefit residents and improve Bermuda's long-term resilience. Let me walk you through a few of the key initiatives, and more importantly, what they mean for you. Improving the state of our roads remain a top priority. This budget commits $5 million towards repairing and resurfacing roads across the island. This isn't just a number. It means fewer potholes, smoother commutes, and safer conditions for our drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians. We've heard your concerns, and we are acting. This funding also includes the purchase of new drainage equipment to clear blocked road drains as well, thereby reducing flood risks during heavy rainfall. So in short, we are attacking road maintenance challenges from all sides. As a result, the results are already visible. In the past year, critical trouble spots have been repaired from Scour Hill and stretches of Middle Road in Sandys and Southampton to South Road and Middle Road in Warwick and Smiths. The next phase is even more promising. I can proudly say that our first shipment of brand new road repaving equipment is set to arrive within 2 weeks. Once in service, this modern machinery will allow our teams to resurface roads faster and to a much higher standard. To every motorist who has had to dodge a pothole or endure a detour, we hear you. And meaningful improvements are already in motion. Again, this is about laying the groundwork for a safer, smoother Bermuda. Just as important as our roads are our bridges, none more vital than the swing bridge in St. George's, a lifeline for residents, businesses, and emergency services in the East End. This budget allocates $3.8 million to advance the replacement of this aging structure. These funds will support the final design, planning, and preparatory work required for construction so that construction can begin. We are taking a phased approach. Essential repairs are underway on the current bridge to keep it operational, while design work on the new span moves forward. The new bridge will be constructed alongside the old one to minimize disruption and ensure a smooth transition. We recognize how critical this link is, and we are treating it with the urgency and care it demands. As we move through each phase, we will continue to keep the public informed. Laying the groundwork for the future also means protecting life today. Over the past 2 years, tragic events have shown us why lifeguards at our public beaches are not a luxury, they are a necessity. This budget dedicates $800,000 to hiring full-time lifeguards for our busiest beaches, extending coverage well beyond the traditional summer months. Historically, Bermuda's lifeguard service was seasonal, but with tourism rebounding and cruise ships arriving earlier and later in the year, our beaches are busy almost year round. This funding allows us to respond to that reality. It's important to note that we're not just adding positions, we're building a sustainable service. We've partnered with the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, a global authority on beach safety, to help us modernize recruitment, training, pay, and job structure. We're creating career pathways that will attract and retain skilled professionals who can save lives. Another critical investment is in our island's water infrastructure. Over $1 million has been allocated to refurbish several of the large government-owned water tanks that store public supply. Not the household tanks many of us know, but major facilities that act as buffers during periods of high demand or limited rainfall. This is a response to recent years where below average rainfall and higher usage place strain on supply in some areas. By seeding leaks, upgrading pumping systems, and improving catchment areas, we're strengthening our capacity to weather dry spells and respond to emergencies. In practical terms, if we experience an unusually long dry period this summer, or a hurricane disrupts the distribution system, these restored tanks will help ensure the residents still have access to safe, stored water. That's the kind of resilience we need to build now, not later. Our parks, beaches, and open spaces are more than just scenery. They are a part of who we are. This year, we are allocating $600,000 to enhance amenities across our national parks system, such as playgrounds and the like. We want to encourage more people to get outside and connect with nature. And that means ensuring our parks are clean, safe, and welcoming for all ages. Finally, as an island on the front lines of climate change, coastal protection is not optional, it's essential. This budget includes $400,000 for projects that will strengthen seawalls, restore dunes, and reinforce the natural buffers that protect our coastal roads and communities. We've all seen what a single storm can do to a beach or shoreline. These proactive steps are how we protect our homes, infrastructure, and ecosystems. It's another way we are laying the groundwork for the future. Each of these initiatives, whether it be fixing a road, replacing a bridge, or hiring lifeguards, or restoring a water tank, is part of a larger mission to serve the people of Bermuda and secure our island's future. I want to thank the dedicated teams within the Ministry of Public Works and Environment who work tirelessly to turn these plans into actual results. In my short time in this role, I have been impressed by the professionalism, the skill, and passion our engineers, planners, and the public service staff have. To the people of Bermuda, thank you for your continued engagement, your feedback, and your patience as we carry out this important work. Together, we are not just maintaining what we have, as I said, we are laying the groundwork for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Adams. At this time, we welcome questions from the media for Minister Adams.
Good morning, Minister.
Good morning.
Carrie Foster, Skelton, Bermuda Broadcasting. So, just touching on some of the things you've just said, that we've got a first shipment of equipment arriving in 2 weeks for the road paving.
Yes.
Now, you said it's to a much higher, it's going to be repaired to a much higher standard
Yes.
than what has been done. That raises the question of the standard of what has been done up to now. Will you have to recover any areas that have been temporarily repaired? How is this going to work?
So ultimately, what I'm referring to is modern machinery, upgraded machinery that allows us to be able to repave at a much higher standard. It does not put in question the standard of repaving that we're currently doing. It just recognizes that with modern material, we can improve our standards.
And will it also, will you be able to do the work faster with this equipment?
Yes.
By how much do you think?
It's difficult to say. What I can say is that immediately after the items, the heavy equipment arrive, our team will actually go through a week of training, and that will ultimately determine how quickly we can improve not only our output, but that quality is experience that our team have on these new machines.
So will you be giving us a bit of the plans for the roads works going ahead this year? Will we get an update on that after you're fully aware of how this equipment?
No,
will-
sir. No, sir. What I will tell you is that on Friday in the House, I will be delivering a ministerial statement where I will talk more in depth on the state of our roads and the plan forward.
Okay. Can you give us any hints? The priority.
I would say we'll wait until the ministerial statement. I don't want to preclude my ministerial statement.
All right. Then you spoke about the swing bridge and you put 3.8 million to replace design plan. Obviously, I'm sure through the plan you will get the estimates on what the actual final cost for building will be. But do you have any idea what that might be costing in the future to rebuild or replace the swing bridge?
Sure. So as I said, we have about 3.8, but in total, to replace the swing bridge.
Or that includes the construction costs?
Pardon.
Because you
No, no,
said,
no,
sorry,
no,
I was
sorry,
going
no,
off
no,
your
no,
statement
no.
that you said the designing and planning.
Yes.
I didn't know if this included the overall construction.
So overall, we estimate it'll be around 50 to 60 million dollars overall. This is just to complete a lot of the preparatory work that will get us to a space where we can provide better and more clear estimates.
Thank you. And you talked about you're partnering with, was it the Royal National Lifeguards Association?
Yes.
Was that
Institute?
Institute, I
Yes.
apologize. And for the training of lifeguards, can we expect that trying to increase the number of lifeguards, will that be local with the training coming from overseas? Will you also be bringing in some overseas lifeguards as well to augment the local?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me state clearly, the absolute first intent is to have local investment and lifeguards on island. That is the absolute first intent. However, absent of that, recognizing the importance of having quality lifeguards on island, we're prepared to reach out overseas if necessary. But part of the partnering with the institute, as you referred to, was actually an assessment, listening to a lot of locals in terms of a lot of their challenges to the industry, if you will. I think, for example, a lot of them had issues with the pay. A lot of them was not attracted to the seasonality of the occupation and things of that nature. So it was working with them in terms of how can we make becoming a lifeguard more attractive to locals and also help us to retain the locals that are currently lifeguards.
Okay. And you didn't mention in your statement today the asphalt plant or Tynes Bay.
Yes.
Can you give are we expecting any further updates on those plans?
So yes, so a part of the a part of the budget does include continued investment in both actually, but for Tynes Bay, absolutely, it's continued the works of stabilization. So you'll recall that Tynes Bay received additional funding in last year's budget, and so this year's budget is a further investment into stabilizing Tynes Bay. And the asphalt plant, yes, will be continued significant investment, particularly on the preparatory work, as we anticipate to have the asphalt plant fully operational in the first quarter of next year.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Minister, good morning.
Good morning.
Going back to the pothole issue.
Yes.
The ABA has said that 5 million allocated this year is a drop in the ocean. The BTOC has said that it's while it's helpful, it's not nearly enough. And the OBA has also called for a quarterly audit of the condition of all the roads to be made public. What's your response to that? Why aren't you allocating more money? You described it as one of the roads as being one of the backbones of Bermuda. So why can't you allocate more money? And what's your response to the suggestion of a quarterly audit?
So let's start with recognizing we do not have the new asphalt plant operating at the moment. So we are operating with an aged asphalt plant, which to some degree limits our productivity until the new plant arrives. So more money doesn't make things operate any quicker because we're still operating with an old asphalt plant. When that new asphalt plant arrives, I think the residents of the country will see that vast improvement, not only in the quality, as I said, but the output and how quickly we'll be able to repave the roads will happen a lot quicker with the new asphalt plant. Unfortunately, none of us have a magic wand to get it here any quicker. Believe me, as I said in the opening statements, it is a priority. We would love to have the plant here quicker, but first quarter is when we expect it to be here. And I think when that happens, we will start to see a much quicker and noticeable improvement in our repaving output. But as long as we are operating with this old ash plant, throwing more money doesn't make it happen any faster.
Right, and that's first quarter of next year, obviously, for the
new plant. Yeah. Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and just one other question regarding lifeguards. You said 800,000 this year. Do you know roughly how many lifeguards you intend to recruit for that sum, and when will they start? When will the season be? Will it be from, say, March to November or whatever? And also, do you have the figures for last year? Is there going to be an increase in numbers, basically?
Yes is the answer. So there's things. Great questions. We are looking to recruit 8 additional full-time lifeguards. I emphasize additional because we are still going through the seasonal lifeguards as well. So not only are we having our typical normal amount of seasonal lifeguards, but we're adding 8 full-time lifeguards as well. Right. Full-time meaning they will be here year-round, servicing the busiest beaches.
Sure. But do you know how many we have at the moment before those 8 come on board?
At this moment?
Yeah.
I don't know at the top
typically,
of my head. Typically, well, I will say we are entering into the season. So as of today, I don't know the exact number, but I think we typically get between about 20 seasonal
so that's quite a significant
lifeguards.
Increase.
It is. It's quite significant increase because, I mean, it's a serious issue and something that we are focused on and determining to get addressed.
Okay. Minister, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Adams. We now welcome Minister DeSilva to give his remarks.
Ready? All right. Good morning, Bermuda, and thank you for joining us today. I'm proud to be here today to share how the government will deliver real solutions to Bermuda's housing challenges through the 2025-2026 budget. The Ministry of Housing and Municipalities was created to focus on one of the most critical issues facing our island: the affordability, quality, and availability of housing in Bermuda. But while the ministry may be new, our mission is not. We are committed to ensuring that every Bermudan has the opportunity to access a safe, secure, and affordable place to call home. This year's operating budget for the Ministry of Housing and Municipalities allocates $913,805 for the ministry headquarters operations and $6,640,000 for the Bermuda Housing Corporation, bringing the total estimated expenditure to $7,554,000. In addition, over $22.9 million in grants and contributions has been allocated to support transformational housing and infrastructure initiatives across Bermuda. Of this amount, 17 million in grants has been allocated to the Bermuda Housing Corporation for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. To help more Bermudians access affordable homes, we have increased the residential grant to $6.5 million, an additional $1.5 million over last year. We have also increased the Bermuda Housing Corporation's capital grant by $2.7 million to $10.5 million and repairs. These investments will bring existing properties to life, make a real difference for families across the island. In 2025, 16 housing units will be fully refurbished, 12 units at Harmony East, 4 units in Middletown, and in 2026, another 33 units will be upgraded, including 16 studios at Harmony North, 12 mixed units at 18 Battery Road, and 5 family-size units at Chelsea in St. George's. We are also making significant repairs to BHC-managed facilities, and those include a new roof, kitchen, and electrical upgrades at Gulfstream Rooming House, bathroom and room refurbishments at Langley House, elevator replacements at Prospect Apartments, transformer and infrastructure work at Fenton Drive and Perimeter Lane. These are not just maintenance projects, but investments in dignity, security, and quality of life. In parallel with its publicly funded initiatives, the Bermuda Housing Corporation is also exploring innovative ways to expand the island's rental housing supply and generate employment, all without placing a burden on public finances. One such example is the private sector refurbishment program, which, while not part of the allocated budget, is nonetheless a vital initiative. With $5 million in funding approved at the Bermuda Commercial Bank, this program supports private property owners in renovating vacant or unutilized units. To date, 24 owners have expressed interest. Each participating unit is eligible for up to $125,000 in renovation funding, repayable over 5 years, with rental contracts extending up to 7 years. Work on the first units will begin shortly. Following budget approvals, any planning permits required, and contractor selection. This budget also supports the development of a long-term housing strategy that will guide future planning, investment, and home ownership opportunities. We're preparing a 3-year plan to coordinate affordable housing delivery across Bermuda. We are also advancing key initiative reforms. This year, we will introduce amendments to the Acquisition of Land Act 1970 and the Bermuda Housing Act of 1980. Changes aimed at streamlining the reclamation and redevelopment of vacant and derelict properties, accelerating housing delivery, and expanding the availability of affordable homes across the island. We are also transitioning the former Grand Atlantic property into the Bermudiana Beach residences, adding some 94 units to Bermuda's rental market. Beyond housing, we are also investing in neighborhood infrastructure. In partnership with the Ministry of Public Works and the Environment, we are advancing a comprehensive master plan to address water, sewage, lighting issues in Alexandra Road, Cedar Park, and Mary Victoria Road. Although newly formed, the Ministry of Housing and Municipalities' priorities are very clear. Its strategy is strong and its resolve will be unwavering. Our team, working with the Bermuda Housing Corporation, the Bermuda Housing Trust, the Bermuda Land Management Corporation, and our municipal partners are dedicated to creating a Bermuda where every resident can thrive in a safe, supportive community. This budget is not just numbers on a page. It's a plan for action, a promise to our people, and a reflection of our belief that Bermuda works best when it works for all of us. Let's continue to build a stronger, fairer Bermuda and a more affordable Bermuda together. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Again, we welcome questions from the media.
Good morning, Minister.
Morning.
Just touching on something you didn't mention, and I don't know if this falls under housing in any way, but there was no mention of Landlord Tenant Act and in the issue of increasing affordable housing. Do you have any input on that?
I will have some. That is a task that's going to be a joint task between myself, the Minister of Public Works, and also, I think, Minister of Justice, yeah.
Okay, so we've been hinted at amendments to the Landlord Tenant Act since 2022 throne speech. So where is it?
It's coming. This year, it'll come.
It will come.
It will
We
come.
will get those
You
amendments.
will get them.
So now you don't seem to have a shortage of people looking for affordable housing, but you do seem to have a shortage of landlords willing to rent to that market. Isn't one of your biggest tasks making renting more attractive to landlords?
More attractive to landlords?
Mm.
Yeah. And that
Over
will,
things like Airbnb and things like that.
well, I think that the plans that we have with regard to the refurbishment program, with some of the projects that I outlined, whether it be Chelsea, whether it be the Battery, whether it be up at Harmony. I think once those start coming into play with regard to rental units in the country, I think landlords will start to recognize that, listen, I have to start freeing up my places for people in the country.
Okay.
Because as we know, it's about supply and demand.
Well, economist Craig Simmons suggests that rent control has reduced the affordable housing market because it restricts the investment potential for landlords and construction companies. They are more likely to put money into the higher end market where there is no rent control and a better return. What do you think of his comments? And is any adjustment of rent control part of your plans?
Well, first of all, rent control does not come under me. But Craig Simmons is welcome to have his own opinion. I think the Premier and Minister of Finance will answer that quite succinctly during the budget.
Okay, but you can speak professionally as a construction boss. Would you or have you invested in affordable housing or higher end properties, and which gets you the better return?
Well, if you're asking me that, as a personal thing, you said as
You are,
I've invested
you
in
are
affordable-
a construction boss. You understand the market.
Yes, I do. I think, again, it's going to be about supply and demand. Our concentration at the moment is for the 329 families that are looking for accommodation. You will also know that Home recently finished their study, and we have about 1,100 homeless people in the country. So our focus is going to be pinpointing on creating affordable homes for our people.
And PLP MP Chris Famous said the private sector needs to invest and provide more housing for the increase in working population that we need. Your thoughts on this, and will you be providing any, it's the conversation of providing additional relief for anyone who does so from the private sector?
Well, I agree with the chairman of Bermuda Housing Corporation, Mr. Famous. Will we be providing relief? As I outlined in my brief, we recently received $5 million in funding from Bermuda Commercial Bank. And that is, we already have 24 people that have expressed interest in taking advantage of that. As I said in my brief, we're offering up to $125,000 per unit for folks to get the places renovated and put them in the Housing Corporation stock.
Okay. And the switching to your role as Minister of Municipalities and the what's going to be going on this year with, or we'll find hopefully be hearing from the Privy Council on the City of Hamilton, St George's. But as the Minister, what do you say to those who suggest that government wants to get hold of the City of Hamilton's revenue stream, and that is one of the reasons for the takeover?
Well, I disagree. I think that you'll find, well, first of all, I think it's important to let the people of the country know that I, as the Minister of Municipalities, have had 2 meetings with the corporation already, and we are waiting for the result from the Privy Council. Once we get that result, we will then move forward. But to anticipate what we'll do before we get the ruling is not where we are at this stage. The thing is that we've had some very fruitful meetings, and I think they'll be fruitful going forward.
Okay, so you disagree? You don't think, you would say that's not the reason? We're not trying to get their revenue stream. What is the reason then?
Well, let's wait for the Privy Council ruling before we anticipate what we're going to do thereafter. Because
why wait for the Privy Council ruling? The government has made this move, so there must be a reason behind it. So what does the government want?
that will be with the corporations going forward.
Very well. My final question, obviously returning to the fact of the renovations, 16 units to be refurbished this year, 33 upgrades, return to the fact in your role as Minister of Housing and also as in the private sector construction boss, will your company have any involvement in any of that work?
Probably not. We haven't in the past. I don't see any reason why we should in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Morning, Minister. Just a couple of questions. You referred to the Grand Atlantic, which was obviously, I mean, that was completed in last year's budget pretty much, wasn't it? It's not this year. It was, people started moving in, residents started moving in last month.
Correct, correct.
Could you tell me how many units are now occupied? And also, you referred to the 300 families that are looking for affordable homes. Why couldn't some of those families move into the units that aren't occupied? Obviously, you're not going to get as much revenue, so they're not going to be paying full rent, but you still would be getting some return on the investment.
Okay. Thought you might add a third question. Yeah, the first answer is we have 29 tenants in at the moment. We have another 10 under contract. To answer your second question, you will know that this site has had many challenges over the last 15 years. A lot of money has been spent on that property. And the way in which we are going to continue to fund it is through the EY report that we received and suggested we do what we're doing. So that's why we're doing what we're doing. I hear you with regard to units. Why couldn't they be used for other folks that are looking for units? This property needs to be fixed in terms of the bleeding it's currently experiencing with regard to financing. I think that if we continue on the track that we are with the tenants and the amount of rents that we're receiving, we will not only be able to maintain the payments on the loans that have been extended, but we also, hopefully, at the end of next year, will start to receive a surplus. Now, that being said, that is a project that's cost the taxpayers of this country a lot of money. So we have a way in which we can stop the bleeding. And that's where we're heading, and we're on a good footing to do that. Now, the main concentration for me and my team is going to be to create real housing, many houses for our people that need it so desperately. And we're going to work very, very hard to attain that.
Okay. One final question. I just want to pressure on the municipalities and question that Gary asked. Basically, you didn't answer the question. Why is the government intent on effectively abolishing elected mayors and councillors.
Well, we
But-
haven't done that.
No, but that's your
Yes,
intention.
we haven't done
And the
it.
only reason
That-
you haven't done it is because of the legal challenge that the corporation has put up.
That's your opinion.
But what's the reason for it?
The reason that we are heading in this direction is that the corporations were created a long, long time ago.
Mhm.
And I think that there are many services that can complement each other if we amalgamate. But that's if we amalgamate. We can't get ahead of ourselves. Let's wait for the Privy Council, and you get a lot of information thereafter.
But can you still have councillors if the corporations amalgamate with?
We can
with the
do
government?
anything we want, Gareth.
So it's not necessarily a case of that you're going to scrap elections. That's,
Absolutely. It's, like I said, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
how much does this cost the government or the taxpayer in legal fees? This whole thing that's been dragging on for,
You might want to ask that question to the corporation, to the mayor.
but I'm asking it to you.
I don't know what they've spent. I don't know what we've spent either. I don't know. I've only been here an hour. Give me a little time. Give me a little time. I'll get it for you.
Minister, thank you.
Thank you, Minister. That concludes the press conference. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us and have a great day.
Good job.
You-